Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have somewhat concerning news in regards to the fact that we've actually had a lot of publication going on throughout this past few days of the PlayStation 5 finally officially somewhat being hacked, as well as people able to go and access the firmware, basically the internal coding of the PlayStation 5. And this could be opening up to some pretty big, not good things going on with the PlayStation 5 console. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the information. We're going to be talking about if you guys are safe, which thankfully you guys are, no need to panic. And as well, we also have something really cool with this video too as well. We actually do have a sponsor going on, which you guys can go and find out right here as well. More stuff right after. Thank you very much, MYTHIA, for sponsoring this video. You guys can find out more information on them down in the comment section down below, and as well as our pinned comment as well. MYTHIA is a debit card specifically made for gamers. As you use your card, you get points to put things towards like free PlayStation 5s, free video games, and cool things like Steam gift cards. So instead of airline miles, you actually go and get cool things like games. You basically go get reward boxes after you go and spend money, and if you keep on doing things like the weekly challenges, you get even more rewards too as well. So there's some very easy things like even just saving some money, or even just spending money at places you guys normally would. You can even go and invite your friends too as well. So if you guys want to go and learn more and check out more, click on the links down below in the description, and as well, sign up for MYTHIA. And you also have no credit checks and no application fees too as well, or monthly fees too. So if you guys want to, go check on the link in the description down below and the comment section. And thank you so much, MYTHIA, for sponsoring this video. Now onwards for our actual video. Awesome sponsors like MYTHIA let us go and do really cool things like all the PlayStation 5 giveaways we've done. So if you guys always want to, feel free to go check them on down below. They'll be right next to the usual sellout links all there with the Amazon Weebles and all that good stuff too as well. And of course, make sure you guys are subscribed and like the video if you guys want to. And now let's go fully officially dive in the video itself right now. Thank you so much once again, MYTHIA, for sponsoring that segment of the video. And now let's get into the actual somewhat concerning news in regards to the PlayStation 5 finally somewhat being hacked and a lot of internals kind of somewhat being breached. Because this kind of goes and shows that there's some potentially bad things that might be coming out from all this in the first place. But at least as of right now, it does kind of seem like the hackers are mostly nice and mostly kind of chill in regards of the console not being too bad. So let's go and talk about this, talk about the implications, and talk about everything that's kind of been on this groundbreaking stuff. It's kind of been the news story of the week too as well. So, as of now, a pair of PlayStation 5 hacks could be the first steps towards jailbreaking Sony's latest console, aka the PlayStation 5, and they're finally seeing the very first cracks of Sony's firmware. So basically over this now, hackers may have just actually made some really big strides towards possibly jailbreaking the PlayStation 5 over the weekend, with a hacking group called Fail Overflow claiming to have managed to obtain the PS5 root keys, allowing them to decrypt the console's firmware. As well, additionally, Andy Nguyen, if I said that correctly, a security engineer at Google, who's better known under his handle, the Flow-O, managed to access the PlayStation 5's debug settings menu over on a normal retail PlayStation 5 over the weekend. And both of these exploits were actually kind of made public and also mentioned too as well and publicized all over the place. So let's go talk about this a little bit, because this is kind of somewhat not good, but at the same time, we're kind of more in the hands of nice, wholesome hackers rather than someone that's, trying to find credit card information or hacking consoles or trying to go like pirate out games, stuff like that. So if for some reason you guys don't necessarily know about jailbreaking, kind of the really rough terms of it, if you guys are back in like say the Xbox 360 days, or even old school consoles, or even like Nintendo DS's, it kind of lets you kind of go and break free from the overall chain of the console. And a lot of that stuff when it comes to jailbreaking lets you do different things, like say with your phone, to use different maybe service providers, or for your game you're able to go like install mod, kind of basically go and install hacks, and kind of overall do a lot more extra stuff with your console. Some things it kind of goes towards like for emulation. Sometimes this kind of coding also helps out for actually making the emulators themselves. It's just a lot of kind of internal information that's kind of not so good to have out in the public, depending on what gets leaked, how you leak it, and who actually gets that information for it. It's a very scary situation if someone bad is on it, because it can also maybe leak into more possible exploits, and as well maybe making hacks for games, say like Call of Duty, because if you can actually kind of see how the anti-cheat works or how the console actually handles anti-cheat, etc. It's just like a really big window where you just don't want this information out there, because it can be very scary as well. So you guys can actually go and see from this picture too, where I'm not like the best in terms of coding, maybe you guys a little bit more in depth with me, but basically these are just like the internal files of the PlayStation 5 that are usually decrypted and they're usually a normal person cannot usually access this. Now, of course, if you guys are maybe developers, sometimes they do have developer consoles when the consoles are not out yet, or just in general to kind of have a little bit more extra features and kind of see like what you could do for testing on games. You know, let's say like you're trying to make, say, Last of Us 2, you kind of want to know the optimizations for the console. You want to know the limits of the console, and sometimes you want to maybe test out things to make sure there's no like groundbreaking bugs and other various things. So sometimes more so official Sony employees and also people working on certain games have a chance to go access this, but usually not normal people, because I'm sure you guys can understand if you're a normal person, sometimes you may want to sell that information, sometimes you want to sell it to hackers, or sometimes you want to develop hacks and stuff like that. So all around, both of these things that are coming out right now, not so good to go and see. I'm sure someone could maybe go and explain it better, but it's just a lot of internal stuff coming out, and this is like the first time we've actually seen it so far. And usually whenever a brand new console kind of comes out, it usually takes a little while for people to figure it out because, well, it's very in-depth, new technology, and of course, obviously in the PS3, and PS4, and Xbox 360, and Xbox One, all have the same similar issue. They're trying to prevent hackers, they're trying to prevent people from losing information, and all of that. So these two exploits are particularly notable due to the level of access, this is kind of like the big issue that's going on here, that they theoretically give to the PlayStation 5's software. Decrypted firmware, which is possible through fail overflows keys, would now potentially allow hackers to basically further reverse engineer the PlayStation 5 software and potentially develop a sort of hacks that allowed for things like installing Linux emulators, or even also pirated games on past Sony consoles. So no, a little bit of like a whatever type thing. Some people actually do usually like jailbreaking their older consoles whenever they're kind of outdated or whatever, because like they maybe want to go and like play a game like it's like a cheat code sometimes as well. But it's a little bit more on the scarier side when it comes to PlayStation 5s, because this is current gen, and we just don't want to have other things as well available, such as like, you know, allowing hacks or other stuff. Like a good example is, at least to my knowledge, if you're able to go and say install something like Linux, that also would maybe allow you to go and have other various things, such as like hacked software also put into your actual console itself, or other various weird things too, because it's more of an operating system. Emulators, I'm usually kind of okay with emulators as long as someone owns the original game, so that's not necessarily the world's worst thing, although for Sony it is kind of bad because you don't want to have all of your actual like internal information shown on out, because if people are emulating, they may not be buying your game, etc. But I'm one of those people, like if people emulate, I'm not the world's, you know, not too anti-against, as long as they're doing it legally. And also for pirated games too as well, which also might be a little bit more also bad, because it also might mean kind of not so good things for Sony. Thankfully, though, as you guys can see, we haven't had any bad information that's like in terms of like our credit card informations or personal details or stuff like that as of out right now. But the one big issue here is that could be possible if you have enough internal information, kind of maybe go and bypass certain things. So obviously Sony themselves is presumably keen to prevent users from doing those sorts of things, and they would just not want people, you know, emulating or getting free games, obviously the PlayStation 5. It kind of just ruins the whole business model. And will also be presumably by doing whatever it can do to prevent these exploits from reaching a bigger and broader audience, in addition to attempting to patch any of the vulnerabilities that these hackers over here had a chance to go and see. So over here you can actually see some pictures too as well that Andy had a chance to go and tweet out to as well, which is also not the best stuff to go and see in regards to them having a chance to have more internal access and hackability for all this stuff too. But while this information is bad, that it's finally kind of cracked the code, that people are finally able to start assessing this, there is a nice bright side on it, as I've been trying to go say throughout this video. Thankfully, for you guys that are either trying to get your consoles or already do have your consoles like me, who I have my PS5 over here, there is thankfully not having this information public. So right now there's thankfully no like set in PlayStation 5 jailbreaks available as of now, at least in the bad sense as well. And neither one of these hackers over here have published the details of these publicly. So it doesn't mean that they're like trying to sell this information, trying to go and sell it to, you know, like random like foreign governments or all that kind of stuff, trying to get internal information, trying to get credit card information, or all that type of stuff. Thankfully, as of now, that has not happened. Thankfully. Because this is kind of more on the end of like the good hackers. You know how sometimes you have people that are just trying their best to like test out the servers, make sure security is good, and overall they usually like to just more so interact with, say, like Sony, or it's kind of like their hobby. They, you know, work with like the IT department, stuff like that. They kind of know what's up. But thankfully, like I said, they have not published any of this stuff. It is not out there. We're not like at risk, at least as of now. But it is kind of a somewhat bad sign to see that it is capable to be hacked, and it is capable that people are already doing it as well. And thankfully, it also is not clear that they're hopefully not going to go show it over here. But we also have had a chance for them to go and state and say they have no plans for this closure of the hack. So they don't want to show it out there. They don't want to make it public. They were able to do it on their own. And thankfully, they're not sending out to other people too as well. And also on Wololo.net notes as well that they also held off on publishing stuff on previous consoles. So they've done this before. They've had a lot of information with it. And they did not go and do any PS4 hacks as well publicly. And they did not mention anything until Sony themselves patched things. So hopefully they either have a nice contact with Sony or they have a nice close, like maybe even some employees are actually seeing this as of now and can hit them on up and try to get good information on this. Because it's always very scary whenever the consoles start kind of slowly losing all of their walls for all of us. But thankfully, as of now, as we mentioned, these are nice hackers. They are not showcasing this information. And as of right now, we're overall should be safe. So if you guys want to give your thoughts and comments down below, feel free to. It's very intriguing to go and see this as well, as we've only been around like the console lifecycle for about a year, and some people still don't even have their consoles, and as of now, they're already getting jailbroken almost and already getting hacked on into with their firmware. But once again, you guys don't have to worry about it. You don't have to stress. None of your information or anything bad or the console itself is not changing. Hopefully, they can go forward this information over to Sony and hopefully make the console a bit more safer, more secure, and a little bit more better. But that's about it for this video itself. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. As well, make sure you guys go check out our sponsor of the video down below. Same with the Twitter and Twitch stream and all that good stuff too as well. And I do appreciate all you guys so much for watching in the first place. Pretty fun little video to go and talk about. And you guys are all amazing. And I'll see you guys in the next one. So make sure you guys leave a like on it. And thank you once again so much, MYTHIA, for sponsoring this video. They're all linked down below if you guys want to check them on out. Same with all of our usual things such as the Amazon links, Twitter and Twitch streams, the Weebles, and all that other good stuff too as well. Love you guys all so much. I'll see you guys in the next video itself. And hopefully have even more. And hopefully not hacking news on the channel itself later on throughout today. Love you guys.